Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Shawn. Today, we are looking to start our week with some wisdom, some encouragement from the Psalms, from the Proverbs. Well, actually, it's Psalm, Ecclesiastes, and Wisdom of Sirach today. And I think you're going to be blessed by today's reading. Some interesting things to think about for sure. And if you open up your hearts and you really pay attention, I think you're going to receive a great blessing today from God's holy word. Let's start with Psalm 113, which is a very, very short psalm, but that's okay because our other two readings are a little bit longer. Let's begin. King James Bible for the psalm, Psalm 113. Praise ye the Lord. Praise, O ye servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord from this time forth and forevermore, from the rising of the sun unto the going down of the same. The Lord's name is to be praised. The Lord is high above all nations, and his glory above the heavens. Who is like unto the Lord our God, who dwelleth on high, who humbleth himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth? He raises up the poor out of the dust. He lifteth the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set him with princes, even with the princes of his people. He maketh a barren woman to keep house, and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. So please note, very short, but the theme is hopeful, right? First, let's start with this verse 6, which is really, in my eyes, pointing also to Messiah, right? It says, he's talking about the Lord, who humbleth himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth. Obviously, there's a sense which that's always been true about God. But then you also have kind of this like literal Messiah comes to earth and dwells among his people and walks among his people and walks as a man and endures the challenges of life that man deals with, right? Just the everyday things. And then the hopeful point of this psalm is kind of pointing to the fact that God does, or he can, and sometimes does, do miracles within the lives of those who are calling upon him. And it uses some interesting language, right? He raises the poor out of the dust. He lifteth the needy out of the dunghill. That is graphic and just so spot on, right? Many of us can relate. There has been times in my life, especially in my very young adulthood, where I was, for lack of better terms, covered in it, right? Just, my life was a dunghill. And it seems so far removed from me now when I take the time to kind of like think back to those days when things were just desperate. And I am walking proof of these things that the psalm is speaking of. I've been so poor that I've been covered in dust. I've been so needy that I was buried in a dunghill. And God has lifted me out of those things. As a young man, I have journals full of writing and just begging God for a break, right? Just, please, Lord, anything, something. And sometimes we don't take the time to reflect on all that God has actually done for us. We're just so caught up in what our needs are right now and our struggles right now, and we forget. We have what I call spiritual amnesia. It's so easy to forget what God has done. He maketh the barren woman, a woman who has no hope to have children, but then yet she becomes a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. A beautiful psalm. All right, let's move forward to Ecclesiastes and find out what is the purpose of life, because that is how this last chapter ends. What is the meaning of all this? Solomon has spent the entire book of Ecclesiastes telling us how everything is worthless, right? Everything is vain. Everything's for nothing. Why bother? Let's find out what the answer is. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because there are few, and those that looked out the windows be darkened. And the doors shall shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and the fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and mourners go about in the streets. Please note, so far he's painting quite a somber picture, right? It's like, hey, when these times come, when everything is miserable. Verse 6, or even the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return to God who gave it. Vanities of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanities. Please note, it seems like he's saying eventually everything just kind of returns to where it was, and all your toil, it's all just going to come to naught, and it's all worthless. He is so somber. And this is a man who had hundreds of wives, who had more money than anyone's ever had, who had more wisdom than anybody's ever had, who had more servants groveling before him than anyone's ever had, and he's had it all. And he says, it doesn't satisfy. It doesn't satisfy. It's all vanity. Verse 9, and moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed, and he sought out, and he set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even the words of truth. The words of the wise are as goads, and as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. And further by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Please note we're almost done. He's not saying it's not good to seek wisdom and to study and to be, to actually know what you're talking about if you're going to be an expert in a subject or whatever. What he is saying is, there comes a point when so much of it, study and knowledge, just leads to more misery. I can testify to this in so many ways, and I'm not going to get into it all right now. But I have kind of like that obsessive personality where, when something piques my interest, I take it to the highest, furthest length possible, and I've been known to take a topic and just spend 2 years, 40 hours a week, not 40 hours a week, we'll say 10 to 20 hours a week. I'll give you an example. Church history got on my radar really heavily in the last few years, and I spent no less than 10 to 20 hours a week for 2 years just studying it. Took both years of church history in seminary and just did this obsessive deep dive. And while a lot of good comes from that, there's also a lot of bad. And you can take it to, well, let me just read verse 12 again, because it's explaining it better than I am. And further by these, my sons, be admonished of making many books there is no end. In much study is a weariness of the flesh. Last two verses, and frankly the most important. This is how he ends this book that he's written to his sons. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment, and every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. That's the whole point. What is the point of my life? I don't know what I should be doing. And look, I'm not downplaying this. I understand that it's like you're trying to make a decision. What job to take? Where do I do this? Should I get married? I'm not saying those things aren't important. But we spend so much time stressing about those things, and the answer to what is it that we're supposed to be doing with our lives is right here. Here's the conclusion. The wisest man says, all these things that you seek and you're pursuing, in the end, you're going to find out that they're worthless, that it's all vanity. Here's what you should be doing. Here should be your main priority. Fear God. Keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man, because for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. We're all going to stand before God, and the books will be opened. Jesus says it like this. Don't worry about what you're going to eat or what you're going to drink or what you're going to wear. God knows that you need these things. Look, he takes care of sparrows. Rather, focus on the kingdom of God. Pursue the kingdom of God. Make that your main priority, and all these other things will take care of themselves. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Okay. We're going to read from the book Wisdom of Sirach real quick. And I got to say, it's interesting, and I think you're going to find it interesting. The first 5 verses, though, are kind of harsh. It's a reminder that sometimes you can be cursed with ungodly children, and they just bring despair upon your life. It seems harsh, but it is a reality, a real truth that godly people, suffer with at times. And then we get into some very interesting other subjects. So we're going to Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 16. Let's have a look. Do not desire a multitude of useless children, nor rejoice in ungodly sons. If they multiply, do not rejoice over them. If the fear of the Lord is not in them, do not trust in their life, nor pay attention to their multitude. For one godly child is better than 1,000. And it is better to die childless than to have ungodly children. For from one child with wisdom a city will be filled with people, but a tribe of lawless men will make it desolate. My eyes have seen many such things, and my ear has heard worse things than this. So please note, he's not wrong. The Bible talks about how ungodly children are a reproach to their parents, grief to their parents. I've known families who, good godly people, their whole life is dedicated to ministry, and they have a handful of kids, and all their kids are Christian and decent human beings, but they'll have this one child who, for whatever reason, goes off into complete perversity, debauchery, hates their family. It's a complete heartache and break and suffering to their parents. And then those kids have kids, and then the parents, they love their grandchildren, but their grandchildren are being raised by ungodly people in these ungodly situations, and it just becomes heartbreaking. If that's you can relate. And it's not to say we don't love our ungodly children. Of course we do, and we pray for them, and we want them to prosper and to come to know God. But it doesn't change the fact that ungodly children are pain and suffering to godly parents. Continuing on, verse 6, keep your ears open. You're going to hear something interesting. In the congregation of sinners, a fire will be kindled. And in a disobedient nation, wrath is kindled. There was no attention for the ancient giants. Let me start that over. There was no atonement for the ancient giants who turned away from God because of their strength. He did not spare the cities where Lot sojourned. So please note, let's back up. He's giving a rebuke, saying a congregation of sinners is like a fire that's kindled, and a nation who goes off the rails, right, and becomes a disobedient nation, wrath is coming for you. Here's an example the writer gives. Remember the ancient giants? There was no atonement for them, which is exactly what the book of Enoch teaches, what all the Dead Sea Scrolls teach, Genesis chapter 6. There was no atonement to be found for them, and they were destroyed by the flood. You see, the Bible and other ancient documents are filled with information to overflowing with information about the giants, the Nephilim, and that situation that took place in Genesis chapter 6. And yet so many want to ignore it, or pretend that it was something else, or make excuses. Verse 8, not only did he destroy the giants, right? He did not spare the cities where Lot sojourned, whom he detested because of their arrogance. He had no, please note, we often think, well, it's because of their sexual immorality, and now obviously that was part of it, and, the Bible talks about their sexual immorality. The book of Jasher really gives a massive description of the perversity that was going on there, but the main thing was their cruelty and their arrogance that had God really worked up. He had no mercy on a nation destined for destruction, who were taken away because of their sins. The same thing happened to the 600,000 foot soldiers who gathered together in their hardness of heart. Even if there was only one stiff-necked man, it would be a marvel if he were to remain unpunished. For mercy and wrath belong to the Lord. The writer here is pointing out that when you have this arrogant, prideful attitude, eventually judgment's coming for you. He says it would be a marvel if there were just to remain if there was just one stiff-necked man. It'd be a marvel if he remained unpunished. He is mighty in power to forgive, and he pours out wrath. As great as his mercy, also great is his rebuke. And he will judge a man according to his works. A sinner will not escape with his spoils, and the patience of a godly man will not fare badly. He will make a place for every act of mercy. Each will find out according to his works. Do not say, I will be hidden from the Lord, and who will remember me from on high? I will not be known among so many people. For what is my soul in comparison to the immeasurable creation? Behold, heaven and the highest heaven, the abyss and the earth will be shaken at his visitation. At the same time, the mountains and the foundation of the earth will shake and tremble when he looks upon them. No heart will be able to think about these things, and who will ponder his ways? There will be a sudden blast of wind which no man will see, for most of his works will be done in secret. Who will proclaim his works of righteousness? Or who will endure them? For his covenant is far off. This is what a man thinks, who is diminished in heart and without discernment, who is deceived and thinks foolishly. Listen to me, my son, and gain knowledge, and pay close attention to my words in your heart. I will reveal instruction with balance, and I will proclaim knowledge with exactness. By the judgment of the Lord, his works exist from the beginning, and from their creation he determined their boundaries. He ordered his works forever, and their principle according to their generations. They neither hunger nor grow weary, and they do not cease from their works. Each does not afflict the one close to him. and they will never disobey his word. After this, the Lord looked upon the earth and filled it with his good things. He covered its surface with the life of every living creature, and to it they return again. That is the end of our study for this morning. I pray that you have been blessed. Lots of interesting things to think about. But I think the most interesting, and the one that we should really cling to the most, is the end of Ecclesiastes. A reminder that our mission in life is to fear God and obey his commandments, because there's a day coming when we're all going to give account for our works. I pray that you've been blessed. Thank you for listening. Just a quick reminder, this broadcast is supported by its listeners. You can do that through PayPal. You can become a Patreon subscriber. There's also a post office box where you can send mail. Thank you for listening. Peace and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.